Hello, welcome to Renewing the Mind podcast. I am your co host, Dr. Raul Sanchez. Um, okay, let's see. There we go. All right. So I'm your co host, Dr. Raul Sanchez. Sorry, my screen just went blank on me there, so I had to pop up. So I'm driving solo tonight. So normally my son here is with me, Pastor Tyler Sanchez. So I'm half of the team for Renewing the Mind podcast. So I'm Dr. Raul Sanchez. For those of you who are just now joining us, maybe you haven't seen us before, maybe just stumbled on this live. What we do here is I'm a clinical psychologist with 22 years of experience in Sioux City, Iowa. So my son has 10 years of experience pastoring a youth group in Sioux City, Iowa at Morningside Assembly of God. Tonight, I wanted to do this kind of impromptu, so it's going to look a little different. We don't have the awesome music and all those pieces. Just to let you know, like, I am a father, I'm a husband, I'm a grandpa, I bow hunt, I love teaching. I'm a teacher at heart. So we're going to jump into a pretty personal topic tonight that I wanted to do. This was sparked maybe, I don't know, a week ago or so with a post about generational trauma. So before we get started, here's a couple things I want to let you know. This is educational, no diagnosis or treatment here. But what we want you to do is to listen and then come back and take notes if you need to. But the most important thing is listen and just take away one principle that you can apply. I'm going to drop a lot of things and kind of go quickly, trying to hit around 25 minutes today. So here's the post. The post was basically a great grandfather who was screaming at his son. Things like, you're lousy, you're no good, you're not good enough. And then the next gentleman, which would have been the grandpa, was yelling at the next gentleman, same stuff. So it's like yelling and screaming, you're not good enough. Then the next dad yelling and screaming on the next dad, yelling and screaming. And then there's something really cool. And there's a young man and who actually would be a grandpa, like yours truly. Ding, right? So I'm a pappy, a grandpa. So he's holding the shield up and he's blocking and creating boundaries from his own dad. Did you hear that? He's blocking and creating boundaries from his own dad. Let that sink. So many of you want to break trauma. So many of you want to end the cycle of pain. And yet you're oblivious to the people who are actually pouring the hate. Now, I don't know you. I'm not speaking specifically to anybody, but I want you to really stop and think about that for a second. Take a deep breath. Is that my dad? Maybe that's my mom. What if that's the father of my children? See, it gets deep real quick. So this grandpa is holding up a shield from his own dad. And he's like, no, bro, we're not playing that. And he's got his back to his dad. And he's got this shield. And obviously he grew up as a little boy with this pain. So he knows the pain. Maybe he doesn't talk about it. Maybe he's old school dad. Maybe he's that, stoic type that, will cry in a movie but never cries anywhere else, right? But he knows. And here's what he knows. If I could do it all over again, I would. And I would play with my kids. I would choose my kids. I would deny myself and play with my kids. I would teach my kids. I would grow my kids. I would nourish my kids. My greatest living legacy in life is my kids. And so what he's doing is he's like, man, if I could do it again, I would. And here's what I would do. And this is the legacy. He gives it to his son. So now you see a young man with a little boy. And the young man doesn't have any of the pain. And he's experiencing life to the fullest. And he's playing toys or something on the ground with his little boy. And that's what we're talking about tonight. How do I stop the generational pain? Sometimes people, especially Christians, will say, oh, I'm just cursed. Okay, sure, that's a generational curse. And psychologically, we call that transgenerational patterns of communication. Transgenerational, it cuts across generations. Doesn't matter you didn't have a cell phone. Doesn't matter, okay. So it doesn't matter if you don't even know what a record player is. Okay, so we upgraded our truck. We sold our truck to Tyler and Stella. They were cleaning out the truck or doing something funny. Tyler's popping out CDs. Well, first of all, he gets on me because I'm always a learner, right? I love to teach. I'm a lifelong learner. Once I stop learning, I'll start decaying. So that's that simple. Anyways, I got like 5 old school CD disc player in there. I don't know which tapes it were, or sorry, see, I still say tapes, but what CDs it was. But he pulls out some CDs, and it's brain training, and it's neuroplasticity, and it's basically a traveling library. He pulls out the CDs, and Stella sees them, and she's like, "What, Dad? Pappy's old truck has a record player?" So transgenerational patterns of communication. It doesn't matter if you don't know what a record player is versus a CD, or like back in the day I had a pager. My kids laugh because I had the same phone as Michael Jordan. He was in an interview and I was like, bro, look, check it out. He's got my Motorola. Like, they think that's so funny. But I was 30 when I got my first cell phone. That doesn't stop the transgenerational patterns of communication that wrecks families. Okay, so let's define trauma. For the purpose of this talk, real quick, I'm going to limit trauma. Trauma is really heavy. Trauma is all kinds of stuff. You could have a trauma childhood, and you were never hit. You just weren't nourished. You weren't loved. Maybe you weren't fed. For sure, that's called emotional neglect, where your feelings aren't met. Your feelings aren't even acknowledged. Like kids should be seen, never heard. Like that kind of stuff. So that's deeper than this talk. I'm talking specifically from a thing called a displaced anger. And that's just what was in the post. So if you saw the post, if you're here because you saw our post on Facebook or the podcast, there's one dad screaming hate, then the next dad screaming hate, then the next dad, and then you got the guy who's like, nah, man, we ain't playing that game. Okay? We're talking about displaced anger. Like if I misplace my pin, I can't find it. That's misplaced. If I displace it, I'll take this pin and toss it at Tyler while I'm cussing him out. That's the displaced anger, displaced aggression, displaced frustration. That's the generational trauma I'm talking about. Hate that's spit from a father to a son, specifically that pattern, but it can also be a father to a daughter. It can also be a mother to a son and a mother to a daughter. However, I'm specifically focusing on dads because that's my call. I know without a shadow of a doubt the Lord has called me to fathers, and that's what we're doing. So I want you to stop and think about this for a moment. Like, how often do I yell at my kids? And some of it's justified. Let me explain. When my daughter was riding her bike out in the street and I yelled at her and she's like, "It's okay, Dad. I got brakes." I ran her down and kind of grabbed her by the shoulder or something, maybe aggressively to stop her from going in the street. She was just learning how to ride her bike. So, I mean, it wasn't like there was a bus coming or something, but like, okay, she could have, cracked her head or something. So there's some times when you might yell out of like scared or fear, surprise. There's sometimes when you might use force. But in those small instances, they're typically to protect. And then you grab her and you hug her, or you grab him and you pick him up. You're like, "Bro, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to grab your shirt and stretch your shirt out. I was trying to stop you." Those kinds of things. You've been there before. A little kid like pops out of the high chair and you reach down with a foot and a shirt, and the kid's crying and it's got a mark on its neck. Well, I mean, I was trying to save him from having a concussion. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about displaced anger where you yell, scream, and demean your kid on purpose for making a mistake. Okay? So now we've defined the transgenerational patterns of communication. We've discussed the generational trauma through yelling, and then specifically the displaced anger. All right, so now we got the definitions out of the way. The thing I want you to think about is the 3 main fears that I see. And so in clinical practice, 22 years plus, another decade of learning to get to that spot. So there are 3 real major fears, and there's more, but these are the specific ones. So the fear of failure tops the list. That's number 1. The fear of people and or the fear of social judgment / embarrassment. That's number 2. We just call that the fear of man. Number 3, FOMO, the fear of missing out. Now, those are typically what a dad screams. So I'm going to yell at you and cuss you out because you made a mistake. I'm going to yell and cuss you out because you embarrassed me with how you dressed. You went out publicly like that. Like, what do people think about me? Right? See how that's a selfish thing that I'm pumping into my kid? How dare you not swing at strike 3? Do you know who I am? Do you know how many people respect me in the community? That stuff, right? Now you see it, okay? Now you feel it. The last one is the FOMO thing. Your child is crying because they can't go to the birthday party, and you're mad because you want them to go to some great uncle they never even heard of. Like, I'll make up a name like Uncle Jim. What? He's in town? Who's he? I don't even know him. Like, can you show me a picture of him? Okay, you show me a picture. Now I'm like, Dad, I still want to go to the birthday party. And then your kid starts crying and you're bawling them out like, you're going to go to some, stupid, junk food infested little party. They don't care about you. They just want your money. They want you to bring them a gift. Like, now you shame a kid because they're missing out. What's interesting about that is the kids don't know it, but they don't have FOMO for missing out. When they don't get to go to something, that sparks back the generational pain. That sparks back the idea, dang, I don't know why this feels so bad. Why does this hurt so bad? If I don't get invited, if I don't get to go, why does it suck so bad? Did you see the pain now? Never forget that emotions are always logged. I mean, raise your hand if you have a delete key in your mind. Not happening. Here's why. Everything stores based on emotion. Everything stores based on the incident. So that would be stored as like disappointment. It wouldn't be stored as a birthday party. It wouldn't even be stored as like my friends or something bad about friends or having, sucky friends. It would literally be disappointment, or it would be rejection. I wanted to go. I feel left out. And now my dad put that pain on me that combines into rejection. Now, for some reason, when I don't get invited, I feel deeply rejected. You following me? Okay. Those three pains come from parents. Those pains come from parents. Sorry. If that's you, I'm here to help. Okay? And just so you know, I want you to take heart like that's how I was raised. And no shade on my, stepfather figures, but, they all had their own pain. They all had their own suffering. So when I was younger, I used to literally would say I hate them. Like, I wouldn't even care. Like, when I was in teen, I was, younger than I even preteen. I was like, I don't even care if he gets hit by a train. Like, I was riding my bike back home from school thinking if I show up and he puked, he got choked on his puke, from being an alcoholic, I was like, I don't even care. But as I got older and I started understanding this stuff in college, of course, I started praying for them. I started understanding generational trauma. It's not their fault either, right? They are what we would call today mid-range, mid-level. They're just mid, right? They're middle of the road. They're basic. They're average people. What we call it in my teaching with men is they're locked into default mode. Just like, this Canon camera we buy, for the podcast, we have to reset those settings every night, just because light might look a little different or something, depends on the time. You have to reset your program. You hit the ground in default mode, and then you're programmed by your parents. And then you become an adult, and then you're trying to adult, and you're like, man, adulting sucks. Well, maybe you are still in the settings that your parents set for you. What are your settings? Right? Do you follow this? Like, you can reset your settings, and I'm living proof of it. Okay? All right, so those are the three things: fear of failure, fear of people / judgment, fear of man, and then the last one's the FOMO. Now, I'm going to give you 3 takeaways or 3 keys. Like, here's 3 important things I want you to know about those top 3 fears. Okay, number 1, it's going to happen anyways. You're going to fail. Every one of those 3 things will happen 24/7. If you just look back at today, like if I had live pause, I'd pause it, and I would tell you to look back at your day. You might even find one of all 3 today. Today, it happens. Okay? I failed trying to set this thing up. We had to FaceTime Tyler to make sure we got all the right buttons. Like, I ain't worried about failing. Notification came on and my camera went blank, so I thought everything died. But hey, it's just par for the course. It's part of the thing. You're gonna do it. So failure is going to happen anyways, despite somebody trying to make you afraid of it. It's gonna happen. Here's the craziest thing in the world, though. I want you to think about something. When Terrence was a little boy, he was afraid of roller coasters, but I wanted him to get over the fear. So I would say, what do you want for it? And he couldn't say anything. He really couldn't. So we were in Six Flags, I think, over Georgia, if that's the right park at the time, or maybe over Denver, I don't remember. But I think it's Georgia. And there was this huge roller coaster, and he saw it when we were pulling up, and when we got close, and you're like that, he changed his mind. And so I'm like, buddy, you said you would. And so he just like getting longer and longer in the day. I was just hoping and praying that something would pop up that we could kind of like put out there for him as an incentive. And let me explain this. He found a Tumbles, a little bitty doll or one of these little tie babies, and it was one that we hadn't had in Sioux City, so he wanted it. We put it on hold. I put my name down, gave the lady a deposit, whatever it took. We went back to the roller coaster, and he did the roller coaster. And the second we were done, he didn't say, let's go get the thing that you promised me. He said, let's do that again. So we did it again. And after the second one, he says, hey, Dad, do I still get one or do I get two? So I don't honestly know if he did the second roller coaster because he was still looking at the reward, or if he did the second roller coaster because his fear had dropped. I can't tell you that answer. He probably can't remember. He was probably like, 7 or 8 or something. Here's my point. Yes, you're going to have fear of failure. Yes, you're going to have, fear of man and embarrassment. And yes, you might have some FOMO. But here's the most important thing. When your focus is so strong, your focus is so high, you don't look at those pieces. You don't. Like if I just did a drawing right now for Cubs games, Chicago Cubs, and we go, but you're afraid of flying, you would go because you're like, bro, this podcast just gave me my dream ticket. We're behind home plate for the Chicago Cubs, right? If you're with me, you're with me. If you're like, nah, bro, then yeah, just like there's another podcast, next channel. You know what I'm saying? Like, go Cubs, go. Okay, but here's my point. If you're focused, you don't worry about the fear. They don't show up. When you lose your focus, now you look around and the fear starts to hit you. It's not a cause based on your goal. It's a cause because you lost. I don't know what I want. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know. Fear shows up. Okay? So we can get you past that by keeping you very driven, very focused, exactly doing what you want to do when you want to do it. Okay? Next one. So that's number 1. It's going to happen. Number 2, focus on the people, okay? Just bear with me for a second. Focus on the people. If you stop and take just a quick synopsis of maybe, let's just say Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, wherever you're at, ask yourself a question. Who throws hate at you? Who throws the mud? Who does it? Let me ask you a question. Is it one of your gurus that you follow? Nope. Okay. Is it one of the people who are maybe a fellow student in like a mastermind group that you're in? Fellow climbers, people who are in the struggle trying to get better. Anybody there throw shade at you? No, didn't think so. How about is it somebody who thinks you're in the wrong lane? Like, hey, Sanchez, you have no clue. Bro, you're a psychologist. Man, I remember you growing up at the Boys Club, Cook Park. Don't even try to act like you didn't steal. Man, I saw you. Like, okay. Like, yeah, and I was on probation. Yeah, and I had a criminal record. Yeah, and, I've been to juvie. Like, I ain't trying to hide that. But that ain't front and center on my, resume right now, right? Like, that's there, but I ain't trying to, blow it up. I ain't trying to hide it, okay? But the people bringing that stuff out, ask the question, why? Who are they? And more importantly, look around and ask this question, where are they standing? Because if they're ahead of you, they don't care. In fact, if they got a good heart, they'll reach back and just share some free value. Ask them a direct, solid question that'll help you. If you do a generic question like, hey, I don't know where to get started, they probably won't help you. But if you ask a very specific question, guarantee you they'll help you for free. They'll throw you value just like that because they want to unlock people just like I do. Okay? Now, I want you to take a deep breath and ask the same question that I asked earlier. Sometimes you have to put up that shield on family. Take a deep look, take a hard look at family and ask the question, who is encouraging you and who is throwing junk your way? And if you look behind that person, who's throwing junk their way? Are they just stuck in default mode? The answer 90% of the time is yes, and here's what I'm trying to help you with. I don't even think they know they do it. It's just a habitual pattern. Like, you're doing that, man, you're stupid. You should have kept your same job. Like, man, you're acting a fool right now. Like, all that on and on and on and on. And most people are like, bro, it's scary, but it's worth it. I promise you, I promise you, I promise you. And I'm not even lying. I promise you. Okay. Scout's honor, like whatever that does, you know what I'm saying? Like, okay, I don't lie. I really don't, but I do exaggerate. Like, my wife will tell you, like, we can play like, pickleball, and I'd be like, man, we killed them. And people would be like, what was the score? Where it was like, 12-11. So I can exaggerate, but I promise you this is an exaggeration. It's not. 99.9% of the people who I push through a barrier, push through a fear, they always tell me this. Why didn't I do that sooner? Number one thing out of their mouth. Before I can say, hey, are you happy? Are you, they'll say, hey, I did it. And I'm like, are you serious? You did what? And they'll say, I should have done it sooner. That quick. Okay. That's the number one reward after touching it, which is I should have done it sooner. Okay. Now back to the thing with Terrence and the little stuffed animal thing. Here's the idea. If I go get him the stuffed animal first or whatever he wants, Yu-Gi-Oh cards or who knows what it is today, then I offer it. Now I have an expectation, right? I manipulated him. I'm going to get you this. Now you owe me that. Do you see the manipulation there? So we're not doing that, okay? We're not using people. We're not manipulating people. He found something he liked. Can I have it? So I believe in what's called a when then. When you do this, then you've earned that. And we set it up. And he does his thing, then I do my thing. Does it make sense? Now let me ask you a question. If you have a neighbor boy who comes at your door, knocks, and rings the doorbell, and he says, hey, can me and my sister mow your lawn? And you go, sure, like what how much you asking? And they say $40. If you think that's a fair price, do you pay him up front? Or do you say, no, I think that's a good deal. Why don't you ring the doorbell when you're done and I'll get you your $40? Now, if you did that, let me ask you something. Like, why are you manipulating your neighbor's kids? Like, why would you do that? You can't be bribing kids like that. But see, we fall into that trap all the time when you see somebody gives an incentive for a kid to get the child over a hurdle that he or she couldn't get over themselves. And yet, we get mad at that when they're kids. But yet, you'll go work a Saturday for time and a half. Wait, did your boss manipulate you? No, it's when then. Like, wait, I'll put in the work, but I get more pay than every other day of the week. That sounds like a deal. So you openly, not handcuffed, walk toward that event because it works, right? Okay, that's an incentive. So yes, you can incentivize your kids to get over the fear. Don't connect the fear though. Like, hey, you're so afraid of the roller coaster. Let me buy you something. Don't connect it. Just walk around, just kind of hang out. It doesn't bother me. Like, Terrence will get over the roller coaster when he gets over the roller coaster, right? But I'm going to ask every time we're near a roller coaster. It just happened at the end of the day. He found something he wanted. It clicked. Does that make sense? Okay, back to the point. Look around you to see who's the one spreading the hate. Okay, I promise you they're not in front of you, and I promise you they're not next to you. Because if they're in your circle, they're your climbing partners. If they're ahead of you, hopefully they're leading you. All right, so we did key number 1. We did key number 2. Key number 3, and this is the hard one. Y'all ready? By the way, see that sexy mug? Check that baby out. Renewing the Mind podcast. Wish I knew those people. I heard he's awesome at pickleball. Shout out to Tavian. Your lifelong partner up here, brother. Okay, number 3. The biggest key is this. And this is where people get so hurt at all the hate coming around them. This is why. They're lost. I gave you that hint earlier. You are lost. You don't know what you want. You don't know if you want your company that you're in. You don't know if you want to go for the promo. You don't know if you want to end this relationship, jump ship a little bit to maybe a different department in your same company because you think that person would help you better because you all might vibe better. You don't know if you should do that. Somebody else told you that this company is hiring and you're like, man, she looks happy. Okay, do you see what I'm saying? Like, you're stuck. You don't know what you want. This is the biggest issue. The people who know what they want, remember, if you're so focused, you don't hear any of the noise. If you're so focused, when you fail is when you hit the ground. And you're like, dang, I didn't see that. Okay, let's get up and let's reboot. Let's keep climbing. Do you understand? Now, how do we get you to know what you want? It takes practice. And the faster you make decisions, the better you are. Now, let me give you a hint. I'll give you a situation that most people will understand. Let's see where we're at in time. I'm getting close. I want to try to keep you right at 30 minutes. Okay, so here's the deal. You're at a dinner, and let's say, 12 people, 6 couples or 12 people from a mastermind, okay? And you're there, and you're looking at the menu. It's one of those, 9-page deals, and you're like, man, everything looks good, but yet nothing looks good, okay? Waiter comes up, starts asking for, drinks, okay? Waiter comes back, starts asking for food, and you say, hey, can you start on the other end? Okay. It comes back to you, 3rd time, and you're still looking. And here's what happens. This little anxiety sets in. Like, man, everyone's looking at me. Like, How come I'm always that guy? Like, just can't figure stuff out. Like, what'd you get? What'd you get? What'd you get? And like, hey, I have a question. Shout out to my wife. She always says this. Excuse me, is this good? Excuse me, is this good? And every single time, waiter, waitress, manager, they go, yes. I like, honey, has anybody ever told you we're like 113 to 0? No one says, hey, just between me and you, they should take that off the menu for real though. Like, no one says that. They're like, yes. So I just tell her, I was like, ask a different question. Like, do people return it when they buy it? Are people satisfied with this one? It's just something like that. But I love her. Here's the thing. People who know what they want focus on deeper issues. Stop looking with your eyes. Everything looks good. It's an ad. They do advertising. They hire national teams who just do this stuff for a living. Like every burger looks like it's 3 pounds, but they say quarter pounder, right? Every steak looks like it's like just the bomb steak. But then you get it and you're like, man, they tricked me, right? Tyler calls that bamboozled. They bamboozled me. Stop looking with your eyes. I want you to do this, okay? Use the words to ask a question. How does that make me feel? How does that make me feel? When I eat pasta, how does it make me feel? All my kids will tell you I get bloated. So when we're at a restaurant, if we're like out of town and we're going to go sightseeing and we're going to be walking, I'm not eating mean pasta. Man, I walk around like just hippo who like can't fart. Like, just saying, like that's not a good feeling. So when we're out and about, like I'll take like salmon and veggies. It's not the most best tasting meal, but like I'm looking for energy. Okay. Hey, if we're going out on a date night and we're just like going to the movie and I could just like slurp on one of those like ices, like, and act like, I got dad who's rich, like I just go get free refills all day. Like I'll have pasta. It's just me in the movie theater, right? Here's my point. I need you to start thinking about feeling. Stop looking at your eyes because your eyes fool you. Stop chasing jobs all around you because your eyes fool you. Stop looking at a different mate, because your eyes will fool you. I need you to start asking the question, when I do this, how does it make me feel? Right? We talked about the when then for Terrence. How about a when then for me? When I eat pasta, then I feel bloated. Nah, I'm not doing that. We got a mastermind. We're supposed to be given a 5-minute pitch after we eat. Like, nah, bro, I can't be doing that. Do you see how that looks? It looks a lot different than what looks good in the menu. Okay, now I know I'm just using this small little example, but key number 3 to why all that fear shows up. Number 1, it's normal, it's natural, it's going to happen 24/7. Okay. Number 2, it might happen because it's attached to generational patterns of, trauma that hit you. Okay. And because your focus dies. Okay. Number 3, it happens because I'm lost. I don't know what else I'm doing. So instead of driving hard forward toward my next goals, I'm looking around watching people and I'm picking everything with my eyes, and that doesn't fix me. That doesn't heal me. I have to have intention about what I want when I want it. And that's the key. If I could push you to say, what do I want? How do I feel? When I do X, how does X make me feel? Okay? Now, here's your thing. I said I'm going to give you some generational habits. And I'm going to tell a story with you. And please understand, I'm not doing this stuff here to brag. I'm not doing this stuff because I get paid. Like every penny out of this place, I spend for it. So we don't make money doing this, but I make memories knowing that I'm helping you. We were in Branson, and we were at Jerry's condo. And one of my habits is, and I picked it up from my mentor, Francis Frangipane. He used to say that he gets up early in his prayer closet. No joke, when I was in grad school, I would go into my closet. I put a pillow against there. I brought in a little reading lamp, and that's where I studied my Bible early in the morning. And that's just been literally a generational habit. I've done that in the mornings. Yes, I've slept in before. Yes, I hit snooze before. I'm not perfect. But more days than not, every single week, week in, week out, for 20 years or more, actually, more than that. But I've woke up every morning, most mornings, and I do that, okay? Now, I got up pretty early, and we go out because it's beautiful on Table Rock Lake. I grab a cup of coffee and my Bible, and I go out on the deck. And I'm just praying and reading, just thanking the Lord. There's a lot to be grateful for, especially you wake up without pain. Like, hey, it's a great day. A little bit later, Tyler comes out. Tyler, I love him, but I don't know why. I can beat him in every single sport except for golf. Okay, that's not true. Xbox and all that stuff. He can kill me. But anyways, he comes out and he looks at me and he's like, "What you doing up so early, old man River?" Old man River. Okay, okay. See me on the court then. Okay, so but literally what hit me, it was like, thank you, Lord. That's cool. I needed to see that. Like, that's like a pat on my back because, like, that's a generational habit I laid down. Never yelled at the kids, never said, hey, if you don't do it, you're grounded. None of that. A little bit later, Terrence comes out with a bowl of cereal, no coffee. A little bit later, Tavian comes out, right? And all of us are sitting out there just kind of laughing at each other, whatever, but everybody's got a Bible, everybody's reading, and what happens is they all like intercept the Bluetooth speaker and they start arguing over music, like generational music, blah blah blah. But here's what happened. So I kind of closed my eyes because I'm just trying to just finish up my thing, and I was praying actually, and I was actually in just some serious gratitude, like, wow, Lord, like, this is nuts, like, thank you. From where I came from, um, four failed father figures. My birth dad took his own life. um, the next stepdad's in and out of prison. The other two have died because of a lifelong battle with drugs. And then my final father figure was the best one, but he died because of a cancer battle and struggled with some prescription meds. And I was just sitting there like just trying not to cry in front of my boys, like just from the gratitude of something that I did every day, and my kids saw me. And there's a lot of habits that I did that they laugh at now, and they're like, "Dude, why? That's so stupid." I told myself I wouldn't do it, but they do it. Okay, and some aren't so good, like farting, around people. Like I don't run to the bathroom every time I fart. I'm just saying. So there's a lot of stuff. They pick up the good and the bad, right? But here's my point. I had my eyes closed, but you know how sometimes your eyes are closed and you feel that presence, and you're just like, this is really weird. So I kind of look around because I just felt something odd, and I kind of look up on the glass window. It's a big old picture window, and I look up, and it's my father-in-law, and he's standing with a cup of coffee, and his coffee cup is shaking, and he's bawling. So I closed my eyes real quick because I'm like, I'm gonna lose it, Lord, I'm gonna lose it. Um, and then a little bit later, I went in to get a cup of coffee, and he just came up and hugged me, and he just said, uh, hey, that's a great legacy to lay down for the kids, and he was really proud. But I was real quick to say, hey, what's funny is I don't think I taught that. Like, it's just something I did. Okay, it's just something I did. And the funniest thing in the world is we were out doing something with Tavian and Valencia. Oh no, we were at church. Okay, sorry, we were at church, and I was sitting with my legs crossed with my hands over my knees like this, and I look, and Valencia was sitting the exact same way, and then Stacy's next to her, and then next to her was Tavian. And Valencia looks at me and she goes, Dad, look at how we're sitting. And I bump her, and I'm like, Valencia, look at Tavian. And she just loves, like, when her and Tavian are like one, Tavian just gets kind of disgusted. He's like, what? No. So he has to, like, he looks down the line. He's like, I can't be like my sister. I can't be like my dad. So he had to switch up his position. And this is my point. I didn't teach it. It's just something I did. So here's your homework assignment. I need you to focus on what is a generational habit that I want my daughter to have. Right now, take a second. I'm going to join this beautiful glass of water with this mug. Take a second and ask yourself a question. What's a generational habit that I want my daughter to pick up? What's a lifelong habit I want her to have? Okay, let's say reading. Okay, reading. Now, next thing is, when is it natural for you to read? Because if it's not natural, it ain't going to happen. So you say, okay, after dinner. After dinner, you shut off the TV, kitchen's clean, you put your feet up, grab a blankie, and grab a book. Love it. Then do it every day. If you're sick, obviously you don't do it. If you guys are on vacation, you're walking after dinner, don't do it. But when you're home and that's your part of your plan, lock that in. That'll be behavior you did, and your kids will pick it up. Do you understand? Stop trying to teach everything and just do. Because I didn't teach it, I did it. And because I did it, they picked it up. Okay? Generational habits are laid down day after day after day after day, after month, after year, after decade. Then you can let down your shield, and that's heavy work. I'm carrying all this load. Like, wow, it just feels like a load off my back. Okay, cool. Now watch. Your children will be playing on the floor with their children. And that's how you know you made it. Okay? You made it. Right? You made it because you did it and they picked it up. Got it? All right. That's what I got for you. Right? I want you to start looking at what's a generational habit I can do so that I don't have to teach it. It's just something I did. And then they picked it up because it's a daily habit that their brain picked up. Never forget that children learn the best by observational learning. They observe you. Don't say anything. They observe you. They observe you. They observe you. They observe you. Lay down the habits that you want them to pick up, right? So do. All right? Your assignment personally is, what do I want? What do I want? By the way, we have a huge conference coming up Saturday, April 30th. That's not this Saturday, but the week after. All right? So what's that, 13 days? Okay? Or 12 days, whatever it is. I want you to think about this. What would it take for you to make the pivot that would change your life? What's that pivot? When I was in college, I went from athletic training to psychology. Well, a couple bumps in the road, but that's the main pivot that stuck. It changed my life. So if you're afraid to let go of something, think of this. Like, unless you let go of what's in your hand, right? God can't let go what's in his hand. Let go and see what happens, right? Go get it. All right, never forget, there's 2 times to be great. When you feel like it and when you don't. Thank you for tuning in. We'll catch you in 2 weeks. Peace.